Hey guys, it's Nadia from LiaDiaDia Designs and I'm back with another tutorial. Today we have, I actually have a new coaster mold that I'm really excited to show you guys. It's called Slate, and if you can see the edges of this mold, it actually has that natural slate look to it, and that's part of the mold. So in one of the corners of this video, I will show you the unmolding of when I actually had taken these out of the molds. I didn't have the pouring video, but it was just a basic resin pour, so nothing too fancy about that. But just look at the edge. It's just so neat. So, and I love the kind of organic shape of this as well. It has such an organic shape. So anyway, so I made these coasters and then I want to decorate them. So I was kind of trying to figure out a couple options. And I decided on something like this, and I'll show you what I started. So this here, I thought it was super cute. So this is using washi tape, and then this scene on the washi tape, I think they're all supposed to be inspired by Van Gogh, and this one reminds me of Starry Night. So I'll show you the actual washi tape here. So it does have that Starry Night look to it, but when I put it straight on the coaster like this, I wasn't really liking, you know, the contrast between the colors here. So, but I do like the little villages that in there. So I decided I'm going to keep the little village, as you can see. So I cut out the village and then I added in my own little abstract stars and I filled in the bottom. It's still kind of wet, so you can't fully see the colors, but it has the same kind of, it's a color shifting glitter, so it kind of has the same colors that are in the washi tape. So it looks pretty neat. Anyway, so I wanted to show you that, and then I'm also going to show you how I'm going to finish the edges on these, and we're going to top coat them later. So, but let's go through the beginning of the process first. All right, so let's get all our materials together and we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our washi tape. So again, as I was showing you guys, that there's these little seams on the washi tape and it does repeat. So really this section to about here is the repeating pattern. And I just really like this portion here of the washi tape. So I'm going to use that. This section could also be used, but because of some of this other stuff, I'm not sure if I really want to. So I'll keep that for another design that I'll use. So I'm going to go ahead and just add in these. So I'm going to cut them here. Okay, so now that we have our pieces ready, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to peel that up. And we'll place it, I kind of want to place it around this area here, like on the bottom third of the coaster. And we'll just lay that down. We'll rub it down the edges because we're gonna kind of need that guideline of where to cut the tape on the edges. And we'll use our X-Acto knife. So I have a general idea of where I want to trim this. Like that. And then we'll do the same thing and trim really carefully around. We want to keep the gold edging of this, of the washi tape. So we're going to try to be as careful as possible to keep the gold edges. Okay, and there we go. And there we go. So that is one done. So I'll quickly go ahead and do the others and I'll be back. Okay, so we're all back and now we have our 3 other coasters with our washi tape on them. So we're all set there. And like I said, we're going to try to make our own Starry Night look here. And so we have some swirly stars and then we have our glitter on the bottom. So for our stars, what I used 2 different glitters. The first one being Laura's Art Corner's Gold Stiletto, and I mixed that up with my DuraClear Gloss Varnish. So just to kind of make our own little kind of a, you know, paint paste here. So we have that. And then I also created another mixture of, I lost it. There we go. So our Let's Resin Gold Opal. Now this is more of a chunky mix, and I wanted some of the goldness of this as well as some of those larger chunks, just because if you can see here, we don't just have fine glitter. There's actually some larger pieces in there as well, and I think that gave some nice texture to our stars. So the way that I went ahead and did this, and again, this doesn't need to be perfect. The great thing about it is we are creating an abstract look, so we don't have to worry about being 100% precise. But what I did is I just kind of created swirls, and like this. So then, and I did that first with the gold stiletto glitter because that's a fine glitter, so it kind of allows us to get our shape. And then I'll do that again with a few others, some different sizes, like that. And I'll do here. And then once we get a few larger ones, we can go in and make some tiny ones as well, which are just more of a circle shape than really a swirl. Like so. And then I went ahead and I took the Let's Glitter, the gold and opal, and I tried to get some larger pieces like this, and I'll just kind of dot them around my swirl just to kind of get a little bit of that gold in here as well. Oops. Then you can play with this, like I said, because it's abstract, and again, because it's a gloss varnish, nothing is like 100% set until it fully dries. So up until that point, if you want to kind of fiddle with it, you can do that and, you know, perfect your swirl, you know, make it how you want, like that. Okay, so then we went in and we just added a little bit of these smaller circles and then some tiny dots in here as well, just to kind of give us some various sizes of stars. And there we go. So that one's ready there. And then for the bottom, which on this coaster, it kind of looks like maybe water, like a lake in front of the town. So for that one, what I did is I mixed in, again, some of my gloss varnish. I'll just mix some more with, and this is Lrisy's. And again, it's a color shifting. So you can see in one light, it's more blue, and another light, it's more purple. So, and this is the code for those of you who are looking for the code. It's it looks like it's either this number here, or it could be this number here. I can't remember. So, and it's they're calling it Iridescent Phantom Blue Glitter. All right, so there you go. And we'll just mix that in again, just to kind of make a medium paste. For most people who ask, I usually say it's about a 50-50 mix, generally speaking, to kind of get the the kind of texture we want. And then once we have our mix, it's literally just going in and painting it into the section, and remembering that we have our slate edges, so we want to keep on the top of those edges because we are going to paint the actual textured edges afterwards. So we'll just try to keep our glitter on the flat surface. So I'll go ahead and get this glitter added in, and I'll also go ahead and get these two fixed up, and then we'll be back. Okay, so we're all set. We have all 4 of them done now. These 2 are the newest ones, so they're still quite a bit wet. As you can see, this one has started to dry, and this one is starting to dry as well. Now, the one thing that I really like about this technique is, even though you've seen me use washi tape before, and you've seen me use the stained glass and things like that, this allows us to do something a little different. We're using the washi tape as a design element, just a portion of it. So we didn't use the entire strip of washi tape. We just cut out what we wanted and we're using that. And we could do that with many of the other styles as well. We could cut out little features that we like and we can add them, stick them to our coasters or our trays or whatever we're making, and then add in other design elements around it. And the thing that's really cool about this particular design is, because it's a starry night, each one of our coasters ends up looking totally unique, like in terms of the sky, because I didn't make any of them the same. So now each of them, even though obviously it's a set and they go along with each other really well, they each have their own character and uniqueness about them too, which I really like about this. If you wanted to make them the same, you definitely could as well. Even the depth of the lake is different. Like this one is very shallow, and this one here I've made so it almost looks like it's a a picture taken a little bit farther away from the city. So anyways, it's kind of neat. I like this whole idea here. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit, and then we're going to go in and add edging onto probably this one here, since it's closest to being dry. We're gonna go in and add the painted edges on this. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to, but I just want to see how it's going to look with some painted edges on. Maybe it's a couple or all, depending on how it turns out. And then after we're done all of that, we'll let it dry, and then we'll add our top coat, and we'll go through that process as well. Okay, so we're ready to start doing some edges. So I'm going to do it on this one here, since we are pretty much dry or almost dry on the glitter on the bottom here. So for my gold, if you've seen some of my other tutorials, you'll recognize the gold. I use an enamel paint. So this one the brand is called Testers, and it's usually used for like people who paint models, little cars or little figurines and stuff like that. So it's an enamel paint, so you don't really need to top coat it. So generally when I'm making coasters, I don't top coat it. I just use this on the edges and then I leave it. It's similar to resin, where it's best if you can let it cure. It'll be dry within a few hours, but to let it fully cure takes, a couple weeks or even 30 days. And by the time you've let it fully cure, it becomes very resistant to scratches and wear. I mean, obviously all paint will wear over time, but this one becomes very resistant to it. So I really like it for that reason. It does have a bit of a smell, so it's best if you're using it in a well-ventilated area. But otherwise, it's a really nice paint, and it has a really beautiful gold. It does come in silver as well, and I think there's a bronze and a few other, there's even colors if you wanted to use it for colors, but I mostly use the metallics. So we have this. So I'm going to go in and add our painted edges here. And again, this, because of the slate, it has a really neat edging on it. Like I said before, I normally would do this after I do the top coat of clear resin, but because of the texture of these edges, I really want to capture that with the paint first. If I was to go in with a top coat of resin over this, it would actually mute or even almost make these edges kind of, because the layer would almost soften the edges. It wouldn't be as textured as it is here. So I'm going to try doing it where I paint the edges first, and then we'll top coat the whole thing after, and we'll see what kind of look we get with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and with this, I just use my brush. And I'm just going to go in like this. And again, because it's metallic, it's going to capture a lot of those textures, and it's going to show. So we're hoping that when I do my top coat, that it's going to, we're still going to be able to see these really pretty textures of these edges. All right, so we'll go into a time lapse, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, so we're just finishing up here. And I'm doing the sides as well. So there we go, like so. And all right. And so what I do once I have finished, I'll just set it on top of a cup so that it can dry without sitting on a surface in case there's any drips or anything like that. There we go. All right, so that's with the gold. Now, because of the slate edging, there is quite a bit more edging showing than would typically be on a coaster. So again, you don't have to add the gold if you don't want to. If you like the edging the way it is without, you could leave it like that. I am going to try a couple more things. I'm going to try silver on one and then a couple other things. I'm not sure yet. Maybe glitter on one. I don't know. I'm going to see what I have. So I'm going to go figure that out now and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So I've looked into so I've looked into a few options. So I do have a regular silver, which is the same as the gold, it's just the tester's silver. So I have that here. I have a mix of glitter that I made. It's a really dark blue with a little bit of black and a little tiny bit of the lazuli stiletto, like the tiniest bit. I don't know if you can just see a little tiny bit in here. And then also this one here, which I showed in a previous video, it's oh gosh, I'm going to spill this everywhere. Ooh. All right. So it's the Daniel Baresi, so DB Resin Products Metallic Powder Silver. As we discussed last time, it's super sparkly, but it does kind of hinge between gold and silver. It's almost not quite a champagne, but somewhere close to that. So I'm going to use that to see as well how that turns out. That might actually be really cool for our edges. So I'm going to try these on all three of them. We'll go into a time lapse and then we'll see how they look at the end. Okay, so we're back and I did a bunch of different things here and of course I changed my mind partway through. So I decided to do, so I have the gold, which you saw, and then I did the silver here, and obviously out of all four of them, sorry, I'm gonna touch this one up right here. So out of the four of them, you can see the edges, the texture of the edges the best with the gold and the silver because it is metallic, so it's going to reflect, you know, all the textures of the edges. So those two are best for adding, you know, if you really want to enhance the texture of the edges. The other two I ended up not using just the just this glitter one, the DB Resin Products, just because it was, I don't know, I wasn't really sure if I wanted another bright edge because I have the bright edge here and a bright edge here, and then these two are darker edges. So what I did instead is I mixed this with another pigment. So that's this one here. So I actually ended up mixing it with this pigment, which is a chameleon pigment. So I just added some of these two together to make this mixture here. And that is from Let's Resin. So comes in a set of 4. It's their chameleon set. I think they have a couple of them, so this is just one. So anyway, so and this is like the blue purple one. So I mixed that with the glitter flakes from DB Resin, and I ended up with this mixture, and I just painted it that. So it's kind of got the same kind of reflectiveness as everything else on the coaster. It kind of all blends, but still brings a bit of attention to the edges, right? But not too much. I don't know. It's kind of, it's not too much, but it's there, but no. Anyways, so, and then this one I went the complete opposite, where I just wanted to kind of almost hide the edges, but still put some attention to them. So this one I actually mixed, as I showed you earlier, I lost my cup, a really dark kind of navy black glitter, navy blue black glitter, and a little bit of that Laura's Art Corner, not that one, the blue one, the Lazuli Stiletto, and I just kind of added those to the edges. So again, it kind of doesn't enhance the texture of the edges, but yet it still kind of creates that outline on the coaster. So it's there, but it's subtle. So this way the middle ends up being more the focus, where I find these other ones, it's almost, I mean, depending on the look that you're going for, the edges are almost, overpowering the design. So anyway, so I tried a couple different things. I think there's other options that could be done as well. Like I said, if you want to do that, silver glitter, I think that could look nice too. I actually, while I was working with the chameleon glitter powder, chameleon powder, you probably could also potentially rub, dry brush this onto the edges, and that would probably give a really cool effect on the edges as well. So that's something I might try a little bit later. I don't do a lot of dry brushing, so it's not my go-to technique, but it is something that you could try with something like this, where you dry brush. Even in the mold itself, you could dry brush the edges before you do the pour, and that might look really cool for the edges. So I probably will try that sometime just to show you guys how that looks, but that's an option as well. But anyways, so here we go with all the 4 different options for this style. And what I'll do now is I'm going to let them dry. It's probably going to be about 5 or 6 hours for them to fully dry. And then I will go in and add a top coat. So I'll come back to show you that. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, so we're back. Everything is pretty dry now. And so we're going to be adding a top coat to this, as discussed earlier. And since our coasters are no longer in the mold, we're going to be doing a full flood coat. So it's not going to be a dome or just kind of a top coat where we just kind of stay within the edges. We're actually going to be doing a full overflowing coat. So this way it's going to go off the edges as well and seal everything in. And to do that, we need to protect the bottom. So the way that I protect the bottom of my coasters, you've seen in some of my other videos, but I'll go through it again for anybody who hasn't seen it, is I use liquid latex. And this is the brand I use just because I found it online, but I'm pretty sure any brand will work. So just look online for it. You don't have to use this particular one. And what I'll do, is I'm going to just pour a little bit into my cup. And to do this, we'll simply flip over our coasters and we're just going to apply the liquid latex right around the edges. And once we're done doing that, we just let it sit. It takes about 30 minutes to sometimes an hour, depending on, I guess, how thick that you lay it on. And you just kind of go around like this. You can use a hair dryer. I've sometimes, just, taken a piece of paper as a fan and kind of fanned it. That does tend to help it dry a bit quicker as well. So if you're in a hurry, sorry guys, I'm back again. My SD card was full. These longer videos are taking up a lot of memory, so my phone tends to fill up a lot faster than before. So again, I switched over to my other phone, so now again the quality might be different, and hope maybe the sound might be different too. But in any case, all I was saying is that you can speed up the drawing process if you just take a piece of paper and you fan it, or if you want to use some kind of cool fan, not your heat gun, to kind of speed up that drying process for the silicone. But otherwise you can just leave it and let it dry at its own pace. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these done. Okay, so our resin has started to set. It's not quite 100% cured yet, and because normally my resin takes about 8 hours, we're at about 5 or 6 hours. It's enough for me to show you how they are turning out, so you can kind of see how it's looking. They really could, a couple of them could really use a second coat, like for example, this one here. If I can get the light on it, you can see there's a few little bumps where the glitter is. So normally that would mean that I would want to put a second coat. So I would probably do that, but I want to show you guys how easily the silicone comes off first. And I want to get some photos so that I can get this video up for you guys tomorrow. So anyway, here is, so here's how they look. And I'm just going to go ahead and just show how easily the silicone, the latex, sorry. I always mistakenly call it silicone. I don't know why. It's just some strange habit. So you can just see how easily it's just peeling right off. And get those pieces off. So there we go. Nice and clean on the bottom. There you go. And that's the top. So let me know what you guys think of the final look of these. Do you like the idea of mixing the washi tape and then also adding in these types of scenic designs to it? And which of the borders actually do you like the best? I'm still kind of not sure which one I like. I think I like the one with the darkest border the best. It has a really neat effect where it almost looks like the crystallized, like it has that shine of like when you break a rock, and it has that kind of crystal sparkliness to it where stones kind of have that bit of minerals or whatever it is. That's kind of, sometimes it has that bit of a sparkly edge. So I think maybe this one might be my favorite, but I really also, I don't know, I like all of them for different reasons, but I even like the purpley lavender edge one a lot. And even the metallic ones I like, again, for different reasons. So let me know your favorite out of the four, or is there another suggestion that you have in terms of what you think would look good for the edges? Or maybe I should have left them with nothing at all. But in any case, I'm excited to hear what you have to say about the style, the design, and the edges, and just the idea overall. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys liked this video. And if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And yeah, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, before I go, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. I'm going to be launching a hashtag, and I'll put it on screen here. That so it's going to be easier, especially if you're on Instagram and you're trying my techniques or my tutorials and you want to tag me or show me what you've created. I know a lot of people have been doing that currently where they're tagging me. The only problem is with Instagram especially is my feed is very, some days it's very busy. So a lot of times those tags kind of get lost in the mix and I don't actually end up seeing them. So what I think is going to be easier if I actually have a hashtag, then I can go to that hashtag and actually see everything that's been created, and it'll be easier for me to go in and look at them, comment on them, and even feature them. I think I'm going to start doing much more featuring in my stories and things like that in the new year. So if you have decided that you want to try my tutorials and you want to show it to me, or even just kind of have the potential of being featured on my story, then use the hashtag that I'm going to be putting up on screen. So, all right, guys, so take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.